Well, you're tuned in and watching Night Sounds. Here I am, Barry Funkhauser. That's right, Barry Funkhauser.
Over there.
And you got to point the other way. Once again.
Oh, it's for you over there. Dang it, man. This new video thing just really bugs me crazy. Okay, he's over there. I'm right.
Joe is with us today, and let's welcome to the program, Shadwick Wilde.
Hello.
There, over. I don't know. He's there.
We'll never get the pointing right. It's upside down and backwards.
Oh, okay. Fine. Hi, Chad. Thanks for coming on, man.
How are you? For me, it looks like I'm in the middle.
You are in the middle.
Right,
we always put
in the middle,
so we can kind of.
Yeah, you're our friend in between. You're the meat in our sandwich.
Right. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
You want to feel bad. It's not a good sandwich.
It's a good sandwich. It's a good sandwich.
As an artist, I'm used to being treated like a piece of meat. But part of the game, I suppose.
Well, and you've been doing it for a while. We caught the video for Easy Rider the other day. Me and Joe watched it, and I really loved it. It's like made on, looks like it's probably filters, but like 35 millimeter. And
no, it's actually shot on real analog 16 millimeter film. My friend Scott Carney, who from the band Wax Fang, is also a beautiful filmmaker, and we wanted to do this home video style. He has this little handheld point and shoot 16 millimeter film, and he sends that away to get developed, and then it's digitally edited at the end. So what you're seeing is the magic of real analog.
So is it like the Zapruder film? Is that what you guys shot on? Is it like the? Did you get like the grassy knoll shot and stuff with your little tiny camera and your 16
It's definitely from
film?
that era. Yeah, it's from that era.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. It's like it looks filmish.
I was more of a film guy because he told me all about the camera and that it's the sought after. I mean, if you go to YouTube and look at the video, it says all that stuff because he was like, people love this stuff. There's like people who are into these cameras.
So, Shadwick, wow, you suddenly sound a lot better. What is that? Magic, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, we were talking about your music video and how it's 16 millimeter and it's really cool for nerds that like video.
Film nerds, oh, yeah.
Film, it's like actually on the little strips of. It's beautiful. It's like this. It's really an experience, and the things that there's a special little thing that happens when the film is about to run out, where it starts to change colors, and you can never quite predict what it's going to do. And we used a few frames of that stuff that has just some really magic light things that it does. Anyway, thank you for plugging my music video.
Oh wait,
Barry, yeah, it's good.
That's the part of the music video when we were like, oh man, they're using some crazy filters right here. Oh, I wonder what they got in like the post production. Nope, no post production, just old film.
Yep,
it's wild, man.
Some analog magic.
Oh,
so you're one of those.
I just speaking of analog, just real quick. Do you do analog recording for your music as well? Have you ever done that?
Yes, sometimes. I think that I've tried it both ways and really tried to be honest with myself about the differences in sound quality between analog tape and digital recording. And it is true that analog has a special kind of magic, but it is also true that the most important thing is capturing the moment that's happening. So like however you do that, if you could do a 16-track analog tape recording when everyone did their part separately, and it might not have the same kind of magic as if you recorded a room of musicians playing into a digital medium, if that makes sense at all.
Oh no, absolutely. I actually was way back in the early days. I was a third engineer at a recording studio in Santa Barbara, and we used analog. And it was at the beginning of the digital era, and so a lot of artists were coming in and experimenting with the digital, and they were unable to recreate or recapture that analog magic that they found. But they did use digital early in the day when they just wanted to like crank something out real quick. I feel like it's the reverse now. It's like they all use digital and then they want to crank something out real quick. I don't know. Maybe they still use digital. I don't know. Maybe they put it on analog real quick. I'm not even sure. But
I do know that everyone has their own way, and everyone must decide what their own way is. So
I like your way,
digital.
Shad.
I like your way the best.
That's right. And okay, so tell us about your upbringing. I read here that you spent some time in Havana, Cuba. Is that right?
Yes, en La Habana, Cuba, sí, por supuesto. My mother at the time was making a documentary about the queer scene in Havana, and this was in the early 90s. I was, 5 or 6 years old, and not to age myself, but I went to school there for a while, all Spanish-speaking school, and wore the uniform, and we participated fully in the culture there, and it was a really beautiful, informative thing, and especially Cuban music. That was some of the first songwriting that I was exposed to, songwriters like Silvio Rodriguez and Pablo Milanés. So, yeah, grateful for that experience for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's a weird place to live. Go ahead, Joe. Ask some questions.
Oh no, it must have been an awkward experience because I'm assuming that your parents are American, and you're also American.
My mom is half American, half Dutch, half Kentuckian, and she's who raised me. So yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, the 90s. It's not like Americans could just go to Cuba. I mean, we've
no,
had...
there was technically a blockade, and that we were technically breaking the blockade, the travel restrictions. What it says there is it doesn't actually say that you can't travel to Cuba. It says that you can't spend money in Cuba. So unless someone can prove that you went there and you spent money and you helped their economy by your tourism, then they generally won't prosecute you. So.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, that's an interesting twist. It does sound like something that, well, you have an upbringing now that literally 99.99999% of Americans could never experience growing up in Cuba. That's an incredible experience. And that music scene there is so prevalent that I can even tell that how it influenced your music now.
Well, I don't want to give the impression that I grew up there. I did spend some time there as a kid. But yeah, we moved around a lot, and I grew up in San Francisco,
I was gonna take you on the globe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna do the whole thing.
I was gonna ask you about Amsterdam, but I was gonna go from Cuba to Kentucky because that's where you're at now, right? You went from Cuba to Kentucky.
Well, I went from San Francisco to Cuba back to San Francisco to Amsterdam and then to Kentucky. But yes, the cultural differences. Actually, it's funny that Louisville, where I am based, has a really vibrant Cuban community, and it's one of the larger ones in the country. And so that's been really interesting. That we worked with the Cuban filmmaker for the music video for Mont Blanc, which is a band that my band Quiet Hollers did, a song that we did some years back. But yeah, and obviously the music and the culture and the color and the just being by the sea, those are all things that are to me very romantic, and I do keep them close to the heart.
Yeah. Well, where do you get your inspiration from? Because I bet you it's unique.
I don't know that it is terrifically unique. I find that my inspiration comes from life, heartbreak, and nature, and the human experience, and the struggle for us to answer these difficult questions that we have in life of why are we here, and like why so much suffering, and just all of those questions that we have. I think that's what an artist's job is really to just open the aperture of one's perception to see life, as much of life as we can, and all its grandiosity and all of the beauty and all of the ugliness, and then to try and communicate that back to us, the listener, who we also are, if that makes sense.
No, that absolutely makes sense.
We're all thinking the same thing, man, and you just put it on paper and song. So that's this is great.
We're all trying to get through this thing called life.
Exactly. But but luckily you're in a pretty gorgeous part of the country. I don't think people
Absolutely.
really realize just how green Kentucky is. Being in California, we get a lot of browns. You know, the desert life is a little different. It's got its own mystique. But whenever I travel back east, I am always just shocked by the immensity of green that I see because I'm not used to it. And it's nice that in your videos, you do go out and you show some of that, and you show some of the nature and some of that inspiration that you get. You know, so that's nice to see visually how you are inspired through, you know, where you live, and you bring that to your music.
Yeah, dude. Okay, let me ask you another question. What do you like better? Do you like performing or producing? Do you like making the songs or going out there and touring? Because from the looks of it, you're a tourer. You go out there and play in front of people.
I love the immediacy of connection that playing live gives us for the performer and for the audience member, both, because I like to be on both sides whenever I can. But yeah, I don't think that I could choose one because
Yeah.
I love to create music, and I love the spontaneity of the creation process, from the writing to the demoing to the recording and all of the things. And I guess I probably, you know, hours wise, I'm spending more time trying to get to the show and getting to the show, but it's hard because touring is like 23 hours of to try and do like 1 hour of the good stuff. And so the economy of it is, you know, can be troubling to really think about that primarily what I am in this life is a driver.
Is a driver.
A t-shirt salesman, a tour manager, you know, a
guitar
mechanic. Yeah, you know, all this. Yeah. So, but driver. And I would write a lot about driving in my songs. It's definitely a big part of the world of my songs.
Well, yeah, because you're driving, what, 8 to 10 hours a day sometimes when you're trying to get across the country. That's a long time to just be out and about, you know?
Yeah. A lot of miles to spend with one's own thoughts.
So when you're out on tour, and I'm hoping that you don't get this a lot, but how does a musician like you deal with hecklers?
Oh, let's see. Well, I've never really been heckled. Maybe
okay, well, that's good.
One time I heard someone from the crowd make fun of the way that I said the word path in the song that I was singing, where I say, "Show me the path." And I heard them, and I was just like, really? But you know, that's the only time I'm lucky. That's the only time that's ever happened to me. One time in New York City at Otto's Shrunken Head, we were playing in the back room. This is many, many, many years ago, completely different band. But a guy watched 3 of our songs. He watched us play 3 songs, and then at the end of the 3rd song, he stood up and he said, "You suck," and he walked out of the room. But I really appreciate that he waited 3 songs. He didn't heckle us in between. He really like watched us, and he was like, "You know what? These guys suck, and I'm going to let them know about it." And you know, for all I know, we did suck. I mean, we've certainly, you know, especially in my younger years, pickup bands, you know, and the kind of drinking that happens sometimes, you know, when you're a young person on tour, and I'm sure we played shows, you know. What can you do?
Yeah, you got to.
I forgot. Am I allowed to? Is there?
That's okay. I mean, okay. I'll believe.
I'm not gonna like go wild, but
no, it's just what normally people curse. It's just, you know.
We do.
It's a state of it.
And honestly, I have heard it is a sign of intelligence. So please, curse all you want. Show us how intelligent you are. Barry doesn't like me to tell people that, so
it's fine. It just makes more belief for me.
I'm gonna believe it. I'm gonna choose to believe it.
Choose to believe it. Choose to believe it. It was in the New York Times. It's got to be true.
So tell us about your next couple plans for the future. You got a new record coming out, right?
Yeah, the record drops on the 22nd September
nice.
22nd.
Hey.
And I'm leaving to go on tour tomorrow. I just got back from doing some private shows overseas, and that was on the heels of the East Coast tour. And now tomorrow we're leaving to go and do the Southwest circuit. We're going down to New Orleans via Alabama, and we're coming back up through Texas and across Kansas and Oklahoma. Yay.
Yay.
So when you're out there and you're on the road, do you suddenly become a foodie? Do you stop at certain restaurants, or are you just stopping at like the IHOP?
Well, I mean, it's important to feed yourself well when you're touring, but basically it's like a 1 or 2 meal a day situation usually, and one of those meals is a sort of something that you've cobbled together from like things that are in the van.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we have our favorite little spots that we like to go, and we like to try and eat well when we can, because it is hard on the body to be on tour. So, but I think it's really wise to try to avoid certain kinds of fast foods because of the shall we say, intestinal fallout of some of these particular brands.
Yeah, intestinal fallout. That's a good one. I'm going to remember that.
I saw them open for the Ramones in 74. Cool, man. All right. Well, tell us about the new single that's coming out, because that probably has a music video too, right? Is it on 16 millimeter?
So we're doing 3 singles up to the release of the record, and the third one actually came out just a few days ago. But it's called "Floating Away," and it is recorded via a digital medium. But it stars a cast of origami characters that were handcrafted by my beautiful partner Sarah, who she and I conceptualized the video together while out on a walk in nature. So more inspiration from the natural world. So these little origami fellas and a boat that has been sealed, that's been set afloat down a stream, and he's encountering these different creatures. And the song is called "Floating Away," and we've gotten a really wonderful. It's had the most feedback, I think, of the 3 singles, which is why we saved it for the third, because we really wanted to knock them out with that third punch. So.
Yeah,
the record drops in 9 days, 8 days. So very exciting.
And you have some rock star producers on this album, right? Do I hear that correctly?
Just one rock star producer, but Ken Coomer, my dear friend. He's absolutely a rock star to me. He's a man whose drum sound exists in my brain. And so when we were introduced by a mutual friend of ours, and we started talking, and we had some of the same proclivities as record makers and some of the same instincts, and he obviously has a lot more knowledge than I do. He's been doing it for quite a bit longer, but it was such a wonderful, beautiful learning experience, and to be forming this bond through the creation of music with someone whose music I have admired for many formative years of my life. So yeah, absolutely. Ken Coomer. Love the man.